we picked up what looks to be a 50s-ish Sea King. I'm looking for the shifter that would tell me it was the 50s. I don't see it. It's obviously a 5 horsepower made by Montgomery Wards, and it's got the straight fast gear. Now, it's seized up, but the mag plate's spinning. Don't think that makes a difference, but we're gonna check it. Oh, we got unseized carb needles, always a pleasure. And the stop screw, which doesn't seem to be turning at this moment. Just picked it up, haven't really played with it yet. So being that it doesn't have that, the 50s had a shifter, an actual shifter, even though it was a straight gear. This might be in the 60 range, so we're gonna check on that. Obviously has that Buccaneer style thing. Buccaneer made by a different company. Sea King was made by Montgomery Wards. And it looks to have the 5 horsepower, what do you call it? The wobble pump in there. I love how everybody says these are missing all the time. This is like my 5th. I got a storage of these little clips. But it looks like it has the wobble pump in it. I had a 51 that had the actual impeller style. It was 5 horsepower. This one's probably got the wobbler in there. We'll take that. I do have a new one ready for this, so if we can get this unseized, that would be interesting. So I just wanted to dive into the Sea King real quick. I wanted to just, because it's seized up. The prop won't spin, and the pull cord wouldn't pull, but it's okay. It's moving. You know, usually this adjusts the timing. Usually, or it's actually locked up, which is probably the case. Just wanted to pull that off and see what the story was there. So we popped the tank off real quick. We're noticing that everything's really clean, so it doesn't look like it was left outside and rusted. I'm starting to think maybe it was just. I'm starting to think that maybe it was just sitting and kind of got weather seized. And I'm looking inside the holes here. It doesn't look like someone, a lot of times when you pick up these older motors that are seized, you see the remnants of someone trying to throw some transmission fluid in there, letting it sit and stuff. So I threw some WD-40 in the holes. I'm not seeing a lot of rust. I am seeing some lubrication, but I'm also noticing that my WD-40 went right through. So I'm starting to think that maybe these aren't seized up, locked up. So we're gonna let the WD-40 sit. We're gonna put some stuff in it overnight, and then we're going to kind of try to jerk the flywheel to see if we can at least break the pistons free without ruining anything. So there's a small high hope factor for this motor. We'll obviously divulge more as we get going. Okay guys, I know it's a gamble sometimes, but sometimes you gotta pay the money, baby. Sometimes you gotta pay the money. Let's go. Let's get a spinning motor that was seized up. $25. Let's go. Sea King 5, Buccaneer, same shit, OMC. We're gonna get it running. We gonna get it running. Blackout bell, stay tuned. Okay, quick pop the flywheel off the 5 horsepower Sea King. And right off the bat, you notice how bad the coils are. So our first step was we're gonna pop these coils off. We're gonna keep the points. The points looked okay, and I took the condensers off. We're gonna throw those out. They looked old, and I have new ones. So there's no point in keeping the old ones if I don't have to. The spark plug wires aren't great. We're gonna test for spark first. If we have to change the wires, we will. I don't like to change the wires if I don't have to. Everyone will tell you different. Spark plug wires, for some reason, run a lot more expensive than everything else. I can get a bunch of coils, a bunch of condensers, but the spark plug wires tend to run more expensive. So if I can find a kit or a bulk item, I will go for it. But otherwise, I'll try to save the wires if I can. But anywho, obviously the coils have to go, so we're gonna pop the coils off. Everything else looks good, so we're gonna keep everything else. I'm not gonna pop the mag plate off. We're gonna try to get it running. I hate to do a lot of work to these motors if I know they're not gonna run. So main thing is we gotta get the ignition going. Once the ignition's going, we're gonna test for compression. Well, test for compression first. Then we'll put some new coils and condensers on there. And then we'll pop the lower unit off just to make sure that water pump, we need that water pumping good. I do have one that I ordered online. It was supposed to be for the 3 horsepower, but it was too big. Actually, I'm gonna take some measurements now because I saw some on eBay. I'll link some part numbers because these are hard to find, and if you do find them, they are expensive. $40, $50 per impeller because nobody needs these anymore. So we'll link that part number. Also, quick side fun note. These tend to come with a linkage. It's not a shifter, but it's a neutral clutch. It's like a cable connected to a spring. If you have that motor, it could be earlier than this. This is a 56, but the 55s and the 56s, sometimes they look different. But if you have a motor like this with a neutral safety, that most likely has a regular impeller, okay? This one I don't believe has, because I can just see the setup looks like my 3 horsepower, it's got that this backing thing. So I'm assuming this goes right in here. So we're gonna take that apart and put one of these on because most likely it's gonna need it. Okay, so we popped the mag plate off, which is the 2 bolts that hold it on, through the coils, and then the 2 mag plate bolts. This comes straight up, and I did that so that I can screw the old wires onto the new coils easily. Basically thread the wire through the hole, screw the coil onto the wire, and you're good, as long as your wires are good. I tested mine with the OHM meter, we look good. So these are brand new coils, didn't put the condenser on, put the mag plate on, and then the next step would be to take apart the carb. Carburetor can be a little tricky to get to some of the bolts, but it's 1, 2, 3, there's one in the bottom middle. You don't have to take the bracket bolt off, but there's one below it that needs to come off. And then this carburetor will come off. Now, the tricky part about these, you'll see this on the 3 and the 5 horsepower older Gales. It's not like your typical carburetor with a low and a high speed. It's got an old school cork float in a bowl and no choke. And what happens is this bowl fills up with fuel and chokes the motor because it's so full of fuel. It's tricky to get this set up. This needle seated and everything set up. There's a method. Your best bet is to go online and research it. I'll try to demonstrate if I don't confuse all of you. It's not easy, but it's doable. This cork looks excellent. I don't know if you can see that. Very clean cork. However, it's not, you can see it's not sealed because there was no ethanol back in the day. So what we'd want to do is this cork looks to be in good shape. It's not in pieces. We can use this cork. We'll take it out. We'll put out some seal all on it. That's what a lot of the guys are doing. You can use the original cork with the seal all, especially with this carburetor. They'll make a float for it. It's just a cork. And I don't think they remake this in the plastic that you want to see in the other carburetors. So we're going to take this cork, we're going to seal it up with some seal all and reuse it. Should be fine. Next step, we got to take that lower unit apart and get that wobbler pump out. And to get this cork out, it could be a little tricky. What you want to do is you want to push this straight down. See, there's a clip there holding it up. What you want to do is you want to push and you want to push straight. You don't want to round that bottom hole, because once that bottom hole is rounded, this is nothing but a bell needle valve. So once that gets grooved or you ruin the hole, it won't seal fuel and you'll have a problem. So you want to push straight down, as straight as you can with like a screwdriver or something flat, and then that will push that retaining clip down and will push the cork up the valve that little bit. Once you take the little screw and retaining metal piece, and then the cork just slides right off the valve. You can leave the valve in there, don't matter. And then this is what we're going to use the seal all on. Basically soak it in a thick airplane model dope glue, and that will keep it protected from the ethanol. And most floats you'll see, if you get the old one, you can kind of see that's not varnish, that's got like a coating of seal all or some sort of just a coating. But it's a cork float just like this one, but you can see the difference. This has got the lacquer shiner, and either somebody did this or they bought an aftermarket kit that uses the cork float. Most of them now just change it with plastic, but if you do, they don't make these anymore. So here you go. Seal all, sealant, gas oil resistant. Seal all. It is sticky stuff, and it's vapor intensive, so be careful. And it dries quick. Into the older motors gets a little harrowing. Remember, this is from the 50s, and it's not a Chevy Bel Air where you can find some enthusiast who has all this crap. So this was rusted on there pretty good, and they don't make the seals for this anymore, so I had to hit it with some WD-40 and kind of pry it up a little bit and bang this a little bit, but be careful not to break the plate. I mean, they're out there. They're harder to find nowadays, especially these 50s older Gales and stuff. But this comes off. Shear pin comes out. This comes up. So you get kind of an old fishing line on there, which is kind of cool to me. Because if you think about it, some guy was in the lake and actually used this motor. And there's our water pump. Right there, this stupid little, that thing. It's just an odd shape. It actually looks pretty good. Usually they swell up. And you get a gap in between the prop shaft and thing. And that's what causes these to have cooling problems, which happens a lot. Here's the 3 horsepower one. And there's the 5 horsepower one. I don't believe this was ever in a 5, and I don't believe that was ever in a 3. But he told me this was for some of the 3 horsepowers. Don't believe it. You guys do your research and find out. In any case, this was the one that came out of the 3. They swell up. I can show you the difference between the older one and the newer one. This is the older one. Like I could fit my ring finger through it or my middle finger through it. The other one should only be like the side. The hole's supposed to like be the size of the pinky. But in any case, that's an older one and no good. This is a brand new 5 horsepower one, but it's still rubber, it's still pliable, and these are expensive. For some reason, you can't find these cheap. They're like 40, 50 bucks for one. So I'm gonna use this one, and we're gonna take a look at this one. It doesn't look too bad. Maybe we'll save it for a rainy day. Good tip, if you have an old one lying around, stick it through it, hold it, or you can use the one you're gonna install. And this way you'll be able to hold it with this while you put the glue on and not get it all over your fingers, which is kind of hard to come off. So don't use your hands or use gloves. Get your cork all sealed up, you push it down. There's a clip on the bottom to stop the cork from going down too low, and then the bell will, you get a little clearance like that. There's a groove in the needle. That end part goes in the groove, and the screw goes through there into the hole on the top of the cork. All right, to clean the old tank up, we're gonna go with the old school proven method of throwing nuts and bolts in the tank and some paint thinner, and then we'll shake the crap out of it. Blackout Bill, with a few in me. Gotta live up to the nickname, you know what I mean? Take your needle, your doohickey, and your choker, all assembled. Slide it in. Don't forget this piece. Okay? Seat it. Seat the whole thing. Seat. Now. So turn the knob to let's seat it to the right. Then lock that nut down. Then turn this so that it's here. Alright. And once it's there, bam. Then adjust this to prime. Make sure the needle's to prime. Alright. Then up. Alright. You want to start it here. You want to pull start here. You want to pull start here. Just here. Once it's running, idle here. Or idle here. High speed you're going to want here. Or maybe here. Add it to this. Oh, thanks for showing us all the hard work, Bill. Jerk. So, tighten up that one. That one. That one coming from the back with a nut. That one. That one. That one. Nut coming from bolt coming from the back. Nut. Boom. And then that guy. It can be hard. It can be hard to get tight. You have to go like this. Hold this way. Get that guy. Don't forget that guy. Okay. Now, tank, fuel line to here. Make sure nothing's leaking. And we will test run this tomorrow. Promise, tomorrow. The moment we've all been waiting for, the Sea King's first pull start. I'll obviously edit the 4,000 pulls and when I break the pull start, but let's see what we got. Here, we're gonna open up the fuel valve. This cork float should pop up. There she goes. Little needle's rising. The cork should then put the needle valve to the bottom and seat. Now there's no gasket in between here. A lot of people are always like, hey, I got fuel popping out this bowl here. Where's the gasket? There is no gasket. The cork, and it's a needle valve. That's why they went away from this design, because if the inside of this bowl gets worn or grooved, then you'll constantly have fuel. The needle valve will never seat properly. You can't change the seat. Modern day carburetors, they have a removable seat, because if the seat gets ruined, you can just change it. You can't do that in this carburetor. Once the bowl itself is the seat, once that gets ruined, you're screwed. So if you got gas constantly pouring out of here, you got either bad valve, a bad needle valve, or the bowl is too grooved. But it looks like we're sealed, we're good. We're gonna prime it, pushing this thing down. Now you're basically just pushing the cork deck down to allow the bowl to fill up all the way. And you'll know because the very top of the of the carburetor bowl should fill with fuel and actually overflow. You want that. Okay, now once it does, you can start pulling then, or you can kind of keep it down to see if you can get it. But what we'll do is we'll keep it all the way on top of the needle, and then I'm going to use starting fluid because it hasn't been started in ever. And we'll keep our fingers crossed. We're already good. And I've already broke the pull start. One pull. Me and pull starts. Another quick tip. A lot of times these screw-on pull starts, if they're too tight, that's what'll happen. It won't go retract. So take another spin until I break it again. It did pop over, so that's a good sign. I don't know where I'm at. Problem. She runs, and she runs good. I killed it early because I took the prop off because I broke the shear pin tightening down the flywheel. The problem with that is the prop is used to force the water through the hole. Okay, that's problem number one. Problem number two is I couldn't get those plates off like I was telling you guys. So that means I didn't get a chance to check the water tube going up to the motor, and something tells me it's clogged because I was forcing air up there and I wasn't getting much out of the slits. So I'm already not pumping water. One is because the prop isn't on it, and two, I don't know if that water tube's all gummed up with crap, which I'm assuming it is. Good news is it started easily. I just don't want it to overheat. And it doesn't look like this motor has ever been overheated. The paint's still on it. So it starts, it runs. Blackout Bill success story number one. We're going to try to get a couple more. Quick side note, I did just start it. And I restarted it just to see if it would start as easily. It does. This thing runs great. I can already tell it's going to be a good runner. I was getting some water through the slits. Very little, but I think my water tube's not clogged. Like I said, I think I just got to get that prop going so that we can force more water up there. The prop shaft is spinning, so maybe a little bit of water is going through that way, but without the propeller, it needs that force of water. So I believe it will pump water as well. Once I'll get a shear pin, we'll check that. Here, let's see if you guys can see it. Water's bubbling out. It's actually pumping water. It's actually pumping water. Remember, this is a direct drive, so the faster it spins here, the faster it's moving, and I don't have a prop on it, so I don't want to run it like that, but I am pumping water. I am pumping water. Have a small carburetor gasket leak. She lives. Find out what spot it likes the best. That's fun along. This thing runs. This thing's good to go. Clean her up. Little gasket leak here. We'll fix that. It's stripping. We're good to go. Again, Blackout Bill. Another success, finally. Thank you guys for hanging around. Subscribe for more content. Appreciate y'all. Let's get to 1,000